Why has Casper just had a slight dip? And yeah, I said slight because honestly, it's so tiny and just shows to me how strong Casper is right now and how much stronger it's going to be going forward. But to explain, so you've probably seen the recent news with the DOJ accusing KuCoin of money laundering. Now, why is this important to Casper? Well, in a nutshell, KuCoin is one of the exchanges with the largest holding of Casper on it. And as such, as people inevitably panic, I want to get the money off KuCoin, Casper's seeing some of that knock-on effect from that. Now, this should be another example right off the bat in why we don't keep our coins, our value on exchanges. For anyone here now, this should, of course, be obvious and common sense by now. For any new folks looking to decentralized wallets to keep your value on because it's safer and you aren't subject to the news of certain exchanges like this seeing knock-on effects that you can simply avoid by holding custody of your own tokens. Again, it's common sense. And right now, in the state in which crypto is, it's going to be an even bigger narrative going forward, how keeping custody of your own tokens is integral to maintaining the value of your portfolio. Enough said, right? But KuCoin has been hit by over a 200 million withdrawal surge expected. These types of scenarios, though, of course, make all kinds of liquidity issues take place. And so the waters tend to get muddy when we look at things like price performance, due, of course, to the allowance and limitations of selling and buying being all skewed somewhat. Now, all this to say that Casper, that was already undervalued in any case, in my opinion, has seen a dip that, quite honestly, is providing us with more of a buying opportunity than anything else. Price now is around 13 cents. We may see it dip a little more due to some of the late selling that may take place on KuCoin as liquidity plays catch up, but I don't think it's going to stay down for very long. I do see a potential bottom, maybe of around 11 cents or just over. And I see that being, again, very short-lived if indeed it happens at all. Now, in other news, we've seen some whales, some huge wallets buying big into Casper about 2 weeks ago. We mentioned this on a previous video. And every single one of them has been holding onto their positions, even seeing these slight pullbacks. So what do they know that many don't? Well, when looking at the Casperlytics website, we can view a chart that's showing the correlation of hash rate and price. We can see that every time we match price and hash rate, shortly after we see a new all-time high. Not right away, but it does happen. This happens a few times now. It's happened a few times over the last couple of months, and it's seemingly about to happen again. This makes sense, of course, if you think about it. As the hash rate increases, the project becomes more stable and sucks in more buyers that keep pushing and pushing that price up. It's a great flag that development is progressing as it should to many, me included. I see this as a very positive sign. When you're seeing real-world application taking place in front of your eyes, or I should say, the fruits of development labor taking place and increasing before your eyes, it's a very bullish flag that things are heading in the right direction. Now, with the Bitcoin halving about a month or less away, coupled with these consistent developments and another increase in hash rate, I see a very short window here before we see another all-time high created for Casper. And as we know, Casper's known for solving that trilemma. And with the KEF, in case you're not familiar, the Casper Ecosystem Foundation being formed, Casper currency and the smart contracts that are taking form, folks are starting to realize that we aren't maybe too far off from Casper functioning as a perfect chain to handle most transactional workloads at negligible cost. People are literally saying it in those exact words. You just got to scroll through Twitter or Reddit to read that people in the know, trusted influencers or developers are taking note of these developments. Now, as that adoption takes hold in full, I believe that anyone buying now is going to be loving the fact that they did. The smart contracts aren't here yet. They're still in development. They're coming, though. And so until they do, it may give us a little more time to keep building on our position at these cheap prices. Because of the Bitcoin halving still looming, there is still a large amount of sell pressure looming as well in the market, right? Not just for Casper, but for all of our tokens. And so as we build positions now, we're also factoring in that typical consolidation of the markets that will happen once the halving takes place. Hence why in our private group, I'm picking prime times to negate that pullback as much as I possibly can, just to make sure that we're kind of DCAing in at opportune times. And so we're not going to be left in a situation where we bought high. Silly, but for anyone actually micromanaging their portfolio to that extent, it's always nice to have warm, fuzzy feelings that we got in at nice times, right? I don't expect Casper to pull back as much as other tokens or ecosystems, many of which are in our portfolio, but still, we want to make sure that we're getting in at right times. So with Casper, this will definitely play a factor in price consolidation at that time of the halving. But afterwards, we are quite simply heading into the biggest bull run of our time. Casper is going to see, in my opinion, not financial advice, some God candles, the way that it's positioning. We have some huge catalysts coming down the pike for Casper. And so buying now, you can maybe compare, and I'm not the only one saying this, but buying Bitcoin early, it could be life-changing wealth, and it could very much be on the horizon. Anyone looking at the Bitcoin journey so far has changed and evolved in their expectations, right? Bitcoin has slowly but consistently become more and more of that store of value, all the more prevalent when we start weighing it up against other markets, TradFi assets, other asset avenues, right? Housing, gold, silver, it's just performed extremely well. So that use case is tied up, wrapped up, it has a purpose now. Casper is taking that to the next level and having a functioning entity, a vehicle for transactions, for smart contracts, for all of this beautiful stuff, to have it as an actual transactional currency as well. So much going on to the Casper ecosystem that it's going to bring in a lot more adoption. And quite simply, again, not to harp on, but the development that's taken place has been so consistent, showing real-time results. And so that is a huge flag for stability, for progress, all the nice flags that we like to look for when it comes to investing into potential value plays. And I see a lot of potential here. How much Casper do you need for that life-changing wealth? Well, of course, that's subjective, right? It depends on your goals. If we factor in my opinion, realistically, a 25 to a 50x, again, I don't think that's overly, I think that's conservative, to be honest with you. Potential from here. You can do the math there in terms of what you need to be buying in right now while you can at these prices. Like I say, I don't think a couple cents is going to make a difference here or there right now. If you want to micromanage your portfolio and make sure you get in at the most opportune moment ever, you run the risk of not getting in at the most opportune time. DCA in. I'm just telling you right now, we're in a span of time with that DCAing in right now. When you factor in the inevitable dip that comes along, I still think it's good. I still think that buying now after this slight dip right now may have given a lot of people an opportunity to take a position a couple cents cheaper than what they would have been able to do should KuCoin not have gone through any of these issues. That's it. That dropping price is a drop in the ocean compared to where we're going. So I hope this helps. Do feel free to join our community, join the private group, of course, if you'd like to stay a lot more in the loop with when those ideal selling times come as well. Not just we're looking for prime entry points in tokens, we're looking for the opportune selling moment as well. All the more important as you start building your portfolio's value and you want to keep an eye on how to maximize your returns, right? It's common sense. We got the mother of all markets that is about to go through the biggest explosion we've seen to date. We damn sure better be careful on how much we're capitalizing on that. And so my job, our job as a community, is to make sure that we're capitalizing as much as possible. Like, sub, please do leave a comment. I love seeing the comments. And I hope this helped. So until then, I'll catch you on the next one.